This is my review of Chapter 63 of the Bleach manga. Ichigo continues to transform into a hollow. The shit's coming out of his eyes and out of his mouth, sticking to his face, hardening into a mask. Tesai watches as a hole forms in Ichigo's back. Jinta's climbing out of the hole and points it out to Ururu. Ururu grabs her arm and says she's getting ready to stop it, but Kisuke stops her from interfering and points out that this transformation is different than the majority of the ones where people become hollows. Normally their bodies would break down and reform like we saw on the Don Kanonji thing. But instead Ichigo just has a mask forming on his face, and so it seems that he's resisting it and he still may become a Shinigami. Obviously this is foreshadowing for what's coming much later. The mask finishes forming, more or less. And Ichigo opens his eyes, and then we have the cover like in between two panels. The cover is him just sitting sideways on a building in the middle of a city. Ichigo wonders where he is, and then he's greeted by a man with some goggles and a cloak and some scraggly hair. Ichigo inquires who he is, and he introduces himself, but Ichigo can't hear his name. The man laments that Ichigo couldn't hear his name and says, how many times do you need me to call out for you? And then he kind of he's standing on like this pole, and then he steps back on the pole, and from Ichigo's perspective, he's standing sideways on the pole. And Ichigo wonders how he's doing that. And then the man asks Ichigo how he can sit sideways on the building, and then Ichigo begins falling. The man jumps down and tells him not to worry as Shinigami preside over death. And Ichigo says he's not a Shinigami anymore. And then the man tells Ichigo that he used to use Reishi to stand on the air. Or he needs to use Reishi to stand on the air, and Ichigo isn't sure how to do it. But the man reminds him that he's already done it before when he was a Shinigami, when he was fighting Orihime's brother. And so now the man tells Ichigo that he only lost the powers that were given to him by Rukia, but her powers awakened his own powers. And so he just needs to awaken them finally. Well, he needs to be able to wield them, more specifically. And then these boxes begin raining down as the buildings begin crumbling, and Ichigo falls into a void, and the man tells Ichigo that his Shinigami powers are in one of these boxes. And he needs to find that box or he will become a hollow. Ichigo thinks about how to find his powers, and then he remembers Uryu telling him that Shinigami's Reiraku is red, the spirit ribbon. And so he summons forth the Reirakus, I guess, and he finds the red one, he pulls it, and the box opens up and it reveals the hilt of his Zanpakuto. The man says that he hopes next time his name will reach Ichigo. Ichigo hesitates to pull the sword out as the world is collapsing around him. And then his body looks like it starts jumping out of the hole. This massive amount of power shoots up out of the hole. And that's where it ends. And in the corner is of Orihime eating lunch with Shunshu Narika. And Tsubaki's trying to take a sausage or something. This is the first time we see the inner world. This is the inner workings of the Shinigami, the Zanpakuto, all that shit. I always liked this. When I was a kid, I used to imagine my own inner world as well. So it was cool to see something like that. It's not really the way that I imagined mine, but visual, just like this giant city, is still really cool. It's just something I can relate to. This is the more interesting thing. Now we're getting into the Shinigami stuff. Now we're getting into Soul Society. I don't really have anything to complain about. I think Kubo did all this really well, and yeah. to complain about.